Okay, folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier. Just saw this really pretty epic uh, film, Fighter, an Indian film. I don't know what, I don't even know what to say. What language of India? It's translated into English subtitles. I've been watching over the last few years some of these Indian films that are released here now in the good old US of A. Uh, and I do find myself enjoying them. I have taken a break, maybe as long as a year. I guess I saw a couple that weren't to my liking, so I took a break. But I saw a little blurb on the internet today that basically the headline said something like Indian Top Gun knockoff film Fighter does 25 million, or maybe who knows if that was even right. Maybe it was 250 million at the box office. So I went to my Friendly Film app to get a ticket. I have that subscription here with AMC. And I just watched about 2 seconds of the preview, and I saw a nice image of a like a fighter plane or a jet, and I said, "Yeah, I'll go see it." Um, Now, what I was expecting was basically a knockoff, like an Indian version of Top Gun, whether it was, I guess I was assuming Top Gun Maverick, with the same storyline and everything, and that was just based on the headline. I did not read the article. I don't like movies to be ruined for me. I find that a lot of these reviewers will ruin everything. By the way, there will be spoilers later, not quite yet. I'll let you know when. So I didn't read the reviews or even watch the trailer. I just thought, okay, I'm going to go see what they did with Maverick or Top Gun Maverick, and be pleasantly surprised or pleasantly disgusted or whatever the fuck. And that's all I really had going into this thing. I come into the theater. There was a row of patrons, people, I'm assuming of Indian descent here in Florida, USA. They kind of gave me the look over, or one or two of them did. Probably just, interested or curious about an Americano in the theater to see a film, Indian film. And then there was another, I believe, a couple of rows behind those folks. And then there was just me. So I had the back row to myself. I lounged out. I made my little apartment up there for this cinematic screening. And lo and behold, this movie was very enjoyable, actually. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I would not call this a Top Gun Maverick ripoff or a Top Gun ripoff at all. I'd say there are some similarities, only because both the Top Gun films and this film have the Air Force. In this film, it's the Indian Air Force as a that backdrop. It does have kind of a leading man who's kind of Tom Cruise-esque. This guy, his character's name was Patty. I don't know what the actor's name is, but he's a really, attractive guy, ripped, six-pack abs. They do take fine fun in showing him without a shirt on whenever they can. Very attractive female lead. She plays actually the squadron leader. And what's this movie about? It's actually a war film. Like, if you really think about it, it's a war film against terrorists, like a certain sect of Pakistani terrorists who were attacking India. And in a bigger sense, like, Pakistan in general seems to be the enemy here. Now, pardon my French, but I'm not the biggest world politician or world politics guy. Pardon my ignorance, but I did not know that India and Pakistan had this hatred or this feud or these hard feelings. I mean, there's so much goddamn war and conflict in the world, even within our own country, even within our own municipalities. This town, Jacksonville, apparently has some gang warfare going on that I've been immune to, although this car might be set to give me a drive-by right here. So let's hope I don't get shot while I'm doing this, okay? But basically, just go away, asshole. Go away. God, I hate fucking people. But I didn't know, pardon my ignorance, didn't know about this Indian-Pakistani conflict. All I know about Pakistan is I went to elementary school here in the good old USA with a gentleman, one of my co-students, became a friend of mine. He was from Pakistan. He was a Muslim, or a Muslim, as they might say. Very nice guy. We shared a lot of good laughs together, basically in elementary school and to a lesser extent in high school. I recall this fine gentleman. He liked this song Panama by Van Halen, and he played that very loud in his car. So he was a nice guy. So I never got into world political discussions with him, one way or the other. You know, so I guess if I was a Pakistani person, I would probably be very offended by this film, but I'm not a Pakistani person, so I'm not offended by the film. I don't know what to tell you. You know, because there always has to be a bad guy. I've said in several of my reviews here on One Mike Messier that the Nazis are always a good enemy for American films, you know, and rightfully so. But it's like whenever you need a bad guy in an American film, you just make him a Nazi. You know, that's a real simple thing. So I did not know that Indian people and Pakistanis were so against each other, but according to this film, that's what I would think. So I don't know, maybe just propaganda. So at times this film did feel like propaganda, pro-Indian, anti-Pakistani, or anti-Pakistani terrorist, at least, propaganda. But what can I tell you? I would say that this film does have an advantage. I saw Top Gun Maverick 5 times in the theater. 5 times. What I would say, the one flaw in Top Gun Maverick, from my memory, is that it did not really have a concrete enemy. And I think they did that on purpose, the filmmakers, because they wanted that film to be as universal as possible. There was also this little sub-controversy of some type of patch on Maverick's jacket that they changed to not offend, I think, the Chinese people. So, of another country. I can't get all these countries straight, okay? I have enough problems dealing with my own. So, in this movie, there is a very clear, defined enemy, and it's Pakistan, and specifically these terrorists in Pakistan. Although in this film, I'll say this, I thought the Pakistani, and even, believe it or not, the terrorists were not just one-dimensional. I mean, they seemed to have some reasons for their aggression. You know, yes, they were the bad guys, and that is obvious, but especially with the Pakistani government, at least you saw some of their perspective in some weird way, I thought. I mean, I don't think it was totally cartoonish or totally, you know, the twisting mustache thing. I thought, you know, some of the bad guys in this movie did have their motivations and so forth. They do, spoilers, they do kind of pour it on at the end where they're talking about, you know, I cut off his finger one by one and then I burned the Indian flag. Like, they're really going for the home run here. And this movie had a lot of subplots. As in Top Gun, you have the deceased Goose, who kind of reemerges in the form of his son Rooster, played by Miles Teller. Okay, who I've had body contact with in my life. In this film, it's not a dead friend, it's even better. A dead lover. Our hero, Patty, has a dead, girlfriend, fiancé. Nothing better than a dead fiancé in a film. This woman that was also, you know, a fighter pilot, she died, and then her older brother is now Patty's captain. So of course he's got a dick up his ass. He's pissed off at Patty because of you, asshole Patty. My sister's dead. But yet he's still the best pilot. Like, that's kind of one of these things that we hear in this movie. Like, Patty has fucked up. He's left other people to die in conflict, in battle. Yet he's still their best pilot. Well, I'm willing to go with that. You know what I mean? As far as the special effects goes, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's one thing that Top Gun Maverick, 2 summers ago, and actually that movie was made like 4 years ago. They held on to it for the pandemic. They wanted the real crowds to come. I don't know if they were using real planes or not, or if it was all CGI or whatever the fuck in this one, but the scenes looked really good. the fighting scenes, I mean, it looked like there was some practical effects, as they say, meaning real fire, real explosives, not real death. But there was a shot where a guy's basically got his face blown off, all fucked up and burned and charred. Good makeup job on that, looked believable. I was able to follow a lot of the story in this one, which was good. Sometimes in these subtitled films, these international films that I attend, because I try to open my mind, I do get a little confused. Sometimes I just get tired. It's hard for me to read all the fucking words in the subtitling while watching the action, and I just get aggravated. But this film, I actually followed, I think, most of the subplots. You had some romance, you had loyalty issues, you had actually a whole hashtag women's rights issues. Patty turns out to be a fucking feminist. His current love interest in the film has been disowned by her own parents, especially her father, because they expected her to be a good little Indian lady and get married and have kids, and instead she became the fucking squadron leader for the Indian Air Force. So Patty, by coincidence, runs into her father, and he masterfully pulls off this Jedi mind trick to reunite the disgruntled father with his daughter, his love interest. Very good scene that was. One issue that I don't think that was brought up in this film, that, look, I don't know all this stuff. I have no solution. But this whole Indian culture caste system, okay, which I just saw this other movie. What the hell was it called? It wasn't called Caste. It was called something else. It's the new big fucking intellectual movie that's out now. I saw it in one of these previews. And basically the whole movie's about that it's not racism that's our problem as a world, it's the caste system. And no place better represents that, sorry India, but India, because they have these poor people at the bottom of the caste order that have to swim in other human defecation as a job, okay? I'm not making this up. So India, get with it, folks. Even out the playing field. Destroy your caste system. It's inhumane. But what the fuck am I going to do about it? I'm just a guy in America. I can't solve the world's problems, okay? So I just enjoy the film. But anyway, I like the movie quite a bit. Jai Hind. I was finding myself saying Jai Hind throughout, which is the prayer of every Indian mother, the fucking wish of every Indian child. Jai Hind. What can I tell you? It was a good movie. I mean, they do the thing in these Hindu, and I don't know if Hindu, but these Indian films, I don't know if it's Bollywood or whatever you fucking call it, where and I was just kind of waiting, when's the song and dance number going to come? Because it's so intriguing to me that it seems no matter what genre you see these Indian films in, the narrative ones at least, at some point in the film, you're going to have a song and dance routine. And it's so interesting how they pull this off. Basically, like I said, in every of the films, and I've only seen 6 or 7, but whenever they do launch into the song and dance routine, it's just interesting to me that defying all logic and all genres, they can pull this off. And with this dude, with this actor playing Patty, he kind of looks like a ripped up late 90s American rapper, with his button down short sleeve shirt open and his 6-pack abs. And he's got the hot chick, the hot Indian lady actress who's kind of, very demure in the film. But in these videos, in the middle of the film, she, kind of the Indian Beyonce or some such thing. So it's just interesting to me how they tie those in. And I do get a little, I don't know if it's supposed to be metaphorical, but are these dance routines and these music videos, is that supposed to actually be in the narrative of the film? Or is that just a side thing of subtext? are the characters, when they go back to the normal scenes, are they aware that they just did a fucking song and dance routine? Or is that kind of on a separate thread, is what I'm asking. And I think it's more like a mixture of both. Like, I don't think the stuff that happens in the song and dance routines is necessarily congruent with the rest of the film. It's supplemental. Okay, so it kind of feels like back in the old days, like in the US of A, you know, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, going back to the Beatles and folks like that, folks, the Monkees, Head, from the people that gave you Head, the Monkees, and Jack Nicholson. They used to have bands like the Monkees and the Beatles that would make these feature films, and they would have these music videos that were part of the feature film. But you could also separate the videos from the film and enjoy them separately. With this, it's like, and then also you had a lot in the 80s, you know, movies like Vision Quest or Flashdance. You could watch the music videos on TV that were basically hyping up the movie, the soundtrack, etc., the VHS tape for purchase or rental. And in this, it's like the videos are in the goddamn movie while you're watching it. So it might be a good time to take a not a restaurant, but a restroom break. How about that? If you had a whole break to go to a restaurant in the middle of a film and came back at the end. 2 hours and 40 minutes, folks, of this thing. About 15 minutes of previews, a little bit shorter than the regular preview time. I had to take, once the movie got started, I took one facility break. From my point of view, I mean, I wasn't, you know, staring these people down the whole time, but I don't think any of my Indian film going friends or strangers that I'm just calling friends, I don't think any of them facilitated at all. So they must have really had to go after the film, because it's 2 hours and 40 minutes, okay? I hope I entertained them by being there. They seem to be intrigued or confused as to why I would be in the audience, but I just like seeing movies, folks, okay? I don't discriminate, all right? I eat, but I don't discriminate. So that's it. So maybe I didn't put over this movie enough. I mean, it's a fun movie. It's exciting. There's all these like storylines bouncing off each other. The actors, I think, all did a really good job of conveying emotion. The Patty guy, I'm assuming he's like their top guy over there, although I've never seen him before, but he looks like a big action star. I mean, he's kind of cool looking, just walking around with his fucking sunglasses and his leather jacket and shit. So, like, kind of Tom Cruise-esque. He looks a bit older. He looks like he's 40 or 50 even, but he's all ripped up. The chick, the woman actress, was attractive, of course, which always helps. You have a lot of, like, other characters, and sorry, I just get them mixed up. You know what I mean? Not just because there's too many characters for me to remember everyone. Like I said, there's multi-layers of bad guys. There's like the Pakistani government, the fucking Pakistani terrorists, all these wonderful things for cinematic purposes. Once again, folks, like I said, I had a Pakistani friend in elementary school. He was not a terrorist as far as I know. But I thought if I were him, I probably wouldn't like this movie, but I'm not him, so I do. How about that? So once again, it's all from perspective. I really enjoyed this film. I would say that the specificity of the enemy in this movie, although, once again, the Pakistanis, I've got nothing against them, but that kind of made this storyline maybe a little bit better than Maverick, to tell you the truth, because the war, the conflict felt more real, okay? Whereas Maverick, it was very fucking vague. I still don't know, after seeing that movie 5 times, if there was an actual country as an enemy. I say go see this movie. I'll probably give it 4.5, like a big 4.5 or a 4.25. I really enjoyed it. Nice job, fine folks. Your buddy, I'm an actor myself. You can cast me in one of your goddamn films. And Jai Hind, okay? And for my Pakistani friends, no Jai Hind. And for my Indian friends, Jai Hind. See? I covered all the bases. MikeMessier.com, One Mike Messier. If you want to see my wonderful films, go to One Man and a Camera Films. If you happen to be a pro wrestling fan, One Pro Wrestling and Sports Fan channel, MikeMessier.com. Scroll to the bottom and buy one of my books. Good night, folks. One artist